Thanks, Kate. Hi, everyone. I don't feel that I need to make a case for why these works are so compelling, because I think that it's kind of self-evident when you walk around here. But what I would like to do, because I think when you see images like this of ordinary people in an art gallery, the question you might ask yourself is this art, and why is it art? And I think if we think about it as part of a very long tradition of portraiture in Western art history, you can make a claim for why this is yet another iteration of that tradition. Portraiture is really ubiquitous genre in art, and I've got a 50% piece here, and we carry these around in our wallet all the time, and that kind of sums up the traditional way in which portraiture was used to express, I guess, things like power, class, authority and status. In the Renaissance, it was artists specialised in portraiture as a discipline and were commissioned by the aristocracy and the church to represent them in ways that elevated their power and reinforced their authority to the average person. And then in the 17th and 18th century, that was extended, so the nature of the subject of a portrait was extended to include the propertied middle class, and they would commission works where they would probably be painted within their landscape, so within the property in which they owned, in very opulent attire, and they would hang those portraits for people to see, and for them to also reflect on their own kind of the glory that they felt about owning the land. And so, yeah, right throughout until the 19th century, the genre of portraiture was about affirming and reinforcing the status of the subject. And then what happened was a huge cultural shift, which was enabled by technology, and that was the advent of photography. And through that shift, the subject of the portrait was opened up to the ordinary person in some sense. You had to have some money, but basically the ordinary sort of middle class and lower middle classes were able to go to portrait studios, which proliferated in urban centres, and a lot of us have probably seen those images of very stiffly composed family portraits, often of celebrations like weddings or christenings. And then in the 20th century, the cult of personality in politics became the subject of the portrait. And so totalitarian regimes, particularly between the wars, would produce images of dictators. And so portraiture became a means for propaganda. And these images of these individuals sort of personified national aspiration, I guess. And then later in the 20th century, with the rise of the mass media, so another technological shift, the cult of personality kind of tipped over into celebrity culture, and so the aspiration then became an aspiration to be like one of these celebrities. So the fame industry kicked off. And I think if you think about the most iconic kind of portraits in Western culture, of course we've got the Mona Lisa in terms of painting, but in the 20th century the images that are going to be lingering and iconic are going to be images made through the mass media, often photographs. So film stills from Marilyn Monroe's last film shoot, or a close-up of Audrey Hepburn's face in Breakfast at Tiffany's, or the photographs of Annie Leibovitz. And it's this democratisation of what is called the electronic public sphere that I think these works are sort of meditations on, as well as kind of a celebration of that. And there's a lot of cultural critics that would argue that this sort of emancipation and democratisation of the public sphere is a terrible thing for culture. It's the downfall of Western civilisation. We have trash TV, these horrible people on Jerry Springer, these awful talentless nobodies creating reality TV shows and getting famous for just being famous. But what I would argue, and I think it's something that Emma's work intuitively grasps, is that on a conceptual level these works express the idea that there is there's now a freedom. No longer is the public sphere somewhere where important white middle-class propertied males could be the only ones that could be seen or heard, that now there's a possibility of a proliferation of identities being able to be not just seen and heard, but in the way that they want to be. They're in control of the way in which they want to project their own images. And that's why, you know, social networking sites, Twitter and YouTube and things like that has meant that people can now construct identities in any way that they want to. And what I love about Emma's work is that she celebrates that by the participatory nature of the subject of her portraiture. So I think now it would be good for Emma to talk about that process, the process in which she sort of engages in a very democratic way with the subject.
The process for my work, and I've been doing it since 2006 when I graduated from the National Art School, I started in an area of North Shore of Sydney and looking at relationships there, and I put ads in local newspapers, sort of really tiny little ad, nondescript, but just basically saying artist seeks couples to participate in photographic shoots for exhibitions. And then that opens up a whole array of respondents that read those newspapers and want to be part of the project. I get lots of different responses and we can communicate by email, and at the end of the ad it's just, or email Emma your ideas to Emma. You get references to celebrity portraitures like the Annie Leibovitz, John Lennon and Yoko Ono shot. I get that constantly. I want to do a shoot like that. And I'm like, well, that's good. We can see what we can do with that. And then I get sort of towards, you know, after a few years of doing these ads, I've got young girls who want to be models, professional models. And then I get sort of single men who want to carry a conversation and sort of talk a bit further, and then have quite interesting ideas for shoots that want to carry beyond a photo shoot. So I meet with all of the sort of couples and respondents to the ads, and sort of have coffee with them and talk and sort of ask questions about their lives, their relationships, and sort of gauge an idea of what they have in mind. They usually offer a location, clothing they want to wear, if they want to be in the studio or not, and what sort of message they're portraying. But also it is the experience of being in the photo shoot that sometimes they don't really want to see the end result, but the chance to be in front of the camera. Another couple would be Rose and Nat, and I particularly like this one, is that that's sort of the feedback I got from all the people living in the Shire was that it was the bridges that signify the, you know, going across the water and you're in the Shire once you get across those bridges. They wanted quite a glamour type shoot with a hotted up car. And you know, I didn't expect them to dress up so much, but they put a lot of effort into it, and I kind of like the openness of it and leaving it quite free for them to sort of go show themselves and do that. So they're quite happy with the shoot. Some couples don't want to see the photos afterwards, and they just, it's just funny, they won't even come and look at it, or but then some want to hang them in their lounge rooms and have them above their bedrooms and beds and things like that. Another couple, Victoria and Matthew, they're a really interesting couple, and sort of one who did the video shoot as well. he said, I make my own swimmers, we'll do a shoot, sort of a beach scene. And then when he pulled off his pants and I saw his swimmers, I thought, wow, that's, you know, I was just expecting your usual Speedos. And so it's kind of quirky in the sense like that. And she had lots of jewellery, and the overload, the excess of, you know, trying to show their personalities was quite interesting. That was shot in Kurnell, and Kurnell's a funny, I don't know if anyone's been there, but it's, you're going past all the industrial spots, and then you come into this, it feels like a bit of a holiday town when you get into Kurnell, and their life, their house is full of reptiles. It was overloaded with reptiles, and that they take their reptiles down to the mangroves, which is just at the end of their street, and they get food for them and collect things. And they've been together for about 15 years, and they met quite young in the Shire. Yeah, they were an interesting couple, and sort of had never had they just wanted a nice portrait of themselves. And I think the thing is with artists using the medium of photography, and the way I am attracting sort of the ordinary, you know, amateur model, is that they think the photo shoot can be so varied. Like the way they think about a photo shoot, is it makeup, is it you know, lighting, is it studio, and what is a nice portrait, I think is sort of interesting for me to hear their feedback on that.